Welcome to Fantasia, home of the Melodious. My name's Azallea, and today, gonna be bringing you guys another update to my Ritual Beast deck. But before we begin, I just want to let you guys know that I recently had a major channel update, which includes a lot of changes for the content that I produce, including deck profiles. So if you guys want to know the details about that, I'll link to the video down below. But anyway, with that out of the way, let's just jump right into this. Okay, so starting off, we are going to be playing 3 copies of Ritual Beast Tamer Elder. Now, Elder's probably the best Tamer in the deck, just because of the fact that he allows you to go for a second normal summon. So he's most optimal if you open up with a Hawk and a Repengu alongside of him, but even if you don't, if you open up with another Spiritual Beast monster, or even if you open up with any of the other Tamers, he still allows you to go into Ulti Kim and Falcos, because Ulti Kim and Falcos only requires you to have 2 Ritual Beast monsters, not 1 Tamer and 1 Spiritual Beast monster, so even if you open up with any of these other cards, it's completely fine. Now, as for the other Tamers, so I'm only playing 1 of each because I think that's all you need. So Lara and Zephyr and Pilika, you can revive things from your graveyard. When you can revive things from your banish pile. When's probably the worst one in my opinion, because the banish pile is like sacred territory. You don't really want to touch it too much. You want to keep most of your resources there. But Lara and Zephyr and Pilika are going to be like your combo enablers. So when you get your initial search off Ulti Hawk, you're probably going to be searching for Lara. Or if you're not playing Oracle Zephyr, you can search for Zephyr and Pilika as well. If you are playing Oracle Zephyr, you want to keep her in your deck, of course, as a search target. But you'd search for your Lara and then you can combo off from there. If you guys want to check out some of the basic Ritual Beast combos, I can link to my playlist down below. So if you're still learning the deck, that's probably a good resource for you to check out. But anyway, Lara and Zephyr and Pilika, just need 1, same with Wen. Now, Winda here is kind of a controversial topic for Ritual Beast players. Some people like 1, some people like 2, and some people like playing 3. Personally, I prefer playing 1. I just think it's the most optimal. It's the least bricky ratio to play, especially because this is a pure variant. Now, if you're playing Wind Witches with this deck, I can see you getting away with like 2 or 3 copies of Winda, mostly because of the fact that Crystal Wing's probably going to be hogging your extra monster zone, and you don't really have a way to get rid of it unless your opponent tries to out it and successfully does so. So Winda's good in that deck because you're just going to be floating, you're going to be kind of stalling out, getting resources into circulation so that when Crystal Wing actually does leave the field, you have enough to start going off from. But in this build, you're going to have a open extra monster zone most of the time. The only thing that's really going to occupy is either Ulti Hawk or Ulti Kim and Falcos. So there's that. And yeah, I'm completely satisfied with these ratios. They're really good for the Tamers because, of course, you don't want to brick with these. You don't want to open up with too many monsters. Okay, so next off we're going to go into the Spiritual Beast. So we're playing 2 copies of Kanahawk, or 3 copies of Kanahawk, my bad. Yeah, don't play 2, you have to play 3, he's like the best one. And you also play 3 copies of Spiritual Beast Repengu. Now, some people like playing 2 Repengu. I love 3 Repengu, especially with Ulti Kim and Falcos, because Repengu helps you set up now for Ulti Kim and Falcos, gives it a banished target, helps you have something banished already, so that, when you go for your Ulti Kanahawk plays, you're going to have more efficiency in terms of your resource management. So there's that. You can probably get away with 2. I probably wouldn't recommend it. 3 has been testing out really well for me. And this deck plays a little bit slower than like a turbo Ritual Beast build where you just want to get your fusion out immediately first turn. This deck can kind of grind things out because we're playing a lot of trap cards, especially with the most recent ban list. It has helped Ritual Beast a ton, minus the fact that Ulti Hawk's still not at more than 1, but oh well, right? Maybe next list. But yeah, continuing from there, we're playing 2 copies of Spiritual Beast Apelio. Now, Apelio is just really good for helping you recycle your resources from your graveyard. Ulti Hawk puts the things from the banished pile back into your graveyard, and then Spiritual Beast Apelio banishes the things from the graveyard and boosts the attack and defense of your Spiritual Beast monsters. So he's a really good card to have on your opponent's turn, just kind of like Winda. You want to summon Winda and Apelio on your opponent's turn when you tag out, just so you can boost up the defenses of your monsters, and Winda also floats into something else that might be a little bit more useful. Okay, and then the last card I play is going to be the 1 copy of Petalfin, the Lonely Dolphin, but she's a pretty good monster overall. If your opponent's playing floodgates or anything like that, you can always bounce them back to their hand, so it's not that bad. She's very situational, but again, she is a name, just like all the other Tamers. All Ritual Beast monsters can only be special summoned once per turn, so having a wide variety of names, basically playing every available name, is going to be very good for you. Alright, so that does it for the monsters. So next off, we're just going to jump right into the spell cards. So for the spell cards, I'm playing the field spell variant of this deck, so I'm playing 1 copy of Oracle Zephyra and 1 copy of Brain Research Lab with 2 copies of Terraforming. So Oracle Zephyra is, of course, because you can search out your Zephyr and Pilica with it, and Brain Research Lab is really good because it allows you to normal summon again with a Psychic monster, and because all your tamers are Psychic monsters, you know, it's really easy for you to just put monsters on the board. So basically, if you don't open up with Elder and you have Brain Research Lab in play, what you're going to do is you can normal summon, let's say, like one of your Spiritual Beast monsters, and then when you activate Brain Research Lab, it gives you additional normal summon of a Psychic. So you place a counter on it to normal summon another Ritual Beast monster, and now you have access to your fusions and all that good stuff. So that's why Brain Research Lab's there. I don't play multiple Brain Research Labs just because Terraforming is just a nice way to thin your deck out, and it allows you to be a little bit more consistent with searches. And also Terraforming allows you to access Oracle Zephyr as well, so that's why it's there. I found this ratio to be okay. I don't want to play too many spell cards because I do play Imperial Order in my trap lineup, so there's that. But yeah, continuing on with the spell cards, play 1 copy of Ritual Beast Bond. So with the addition of Ultikim and Falcos, this deck has so much more killing potential because Ultikim and Falcos boost the attack and defense points of your Ritual Beast monsters that are in its link marker zone. So Ritual Beast Bond just allows you to get that little bit of extra damage in for the OTK if you have disrupted your opponent's board well enough on their turn that when it comes back to yours, you just have enough damage on board to just win. We're also playing 1 copy of Emergency Teleport. This allows you to get like your Elder, Lara, Wen, whatever you need out from your deck just to, you know, in case you had like a Ritual Beast monster. So if you had a Spiritual Beast monster on your side of the field with E-Telly, that's basically a fusion, or an Ultikim and Falcos, whatever you need at the time. So it's just there for consistency reasons. We also have Monster Reborn, so I'm really happy that this card came off the list. Probably one of my favorite cards in the entire game, and it has like the most beautiful artwork. Monster Reborn is fantastic with Rapengu. So I play through Rapengu because I play Monster Reborn. And Monster Reborn allows you to just reborn whatever you send with Rapengu. So if you sent like, you know, a Winda, Spiritual Beast Tamer Winda, you can just Monster Reborn it back. You have the option of going for rank 4s, you can go for Ultikim and Falcos, you can even go for your Ritual Beast Fusions at that point. So it's just such a versatile card, and especially mid to late game, you're just going to have a blast with Monster Reborn. It's just really good. But yeah, and then the last card that I play is going to be 1 copy of Dimensional Fissure. It should be pretty self-explanatory. Ritual Beasts like to be banished. And this also prevents most hand traps from activating from the hand, because they have to be sent from the hand to the graveyard. But because this thing makes it so all monsters have to be banished, they can't actually use most of their hand traps instead. So that's why it's really good. But yeah, that does it for the spell cards. Next off, we're going to go into the trap cards. Okay, so for the trap cards, we're playing 3 copies of Ritual Beast Steeds. Pretty self-explanatory. You have to play 3 of these if you're playing Ritual Beasts. Non-targeting destruction is fantastic. Bypasses a lot of monsters that have built-in protection, so it's really good for the board wipes. We're also playing 3 copies of Ritual Beast Ambush, and Ambush is just... I bumped it up from 2 back to 3 because of the fact that this deck can grind a little bit more now with Ultikim and Falcos. You have a lot more stable mid to late game plays, so having access to Ambush is just fantastic. Revive 2 your monsters, go for more of your fusion and links and all that good stuff. So very nice. Now, one of the things that the ban list helped with this deck was Torrential Tribute. So we're playing 3 copies of Torrential Tribute. And this card, if you're not familiar with the interaction of Ritual Beast with Torrential Tribute, basically, if you have a Ritual Beast monster, let's say, for example, Ulti Apelio, if your opponent summons something to their side of the field, you will chain link 1 as your Ritual Beast Fusion. So it'll return to the extra deck as a cost, essentially. And it leaves the field. So then as Chainlink 2, you would activate your Torrential Tribute. And when the chain resolves, Torrential Tribute wipes your opponent's field, and then your Ritual Beast Fusion resolves and summons your Ritual Beast monsters back to your side of the field. So it is very, very powerful. You basically get to wipe the entire board, and then you get to keep your monsters, which makes it so your Steeds is still going to be live and all that good stuff. So not only do you get to basically this is just a little bit more situational Steeds, and it just blanket nukes the board. So it's really nice. And then if you follow it up with Steeds, you're basically shutting down your opponent, and then with like Ritual Beast Bond as your searchable spell card that helps you quick play OTK during the battle phase on your next turn, you're basically securing game for yourself. But yeah, anyway, moving on, we were playing 3 copies of Solemn Strike, 1 copy of Solemn Warning, and 1 copy of Solemn Judgment. The Solemn Brigade is back, and with Judgment in this deck, oh my god, you just don't fear the back row anymore. So if you have, if your opponent has back row and you have Judgment set, you can still go for your Ulti Kanahawk with no fear, because before, if your Ulti Kanahawk got striked, it was basically game over, but now this is a really nice protection for your Ulti Kanahawk, essentially. And our life points are pretty much going to be safe, except for like maybe Imperial Order burning us a little bit. But aside from that, you shouldn't be losing too many life points because of the fact that Ritual Beasts have such good floating and you have such a good disruption in the form of Torrential Tribute and Steeds. So really the only damage you're going to be taking is damage that you're inflicting to yourself. And last trap card we play is going to be Macrocosmos. Same reasoning as Dimensional Fissure, you just want everything banished. So yeah, this is also chainable, by the way, so if you have macro and like Steeds or macro and Torrential, then you're just gonna banish all of your opponent's cards and all their resources. So that's always gonna be very nice. Alright, so that does it for the main deck. So next off, we're just gonna go into the extra deck. Okay, so for the extra deck, we are playing 2 copies of Ritual Beast Ulti Kim and Falcos. Fantastic card for the deck. It enables so many plays. I'm not going to get into details with the combos because I have very detailed tutorials on those. Links will be down below, as always. It has the bottom left and bottom right markers, and whatever's in the markers, they get attack and defense boost. So your Ritual Beast will become very, very beefy, especially if you use like a Pelio's effect, which boosts by an additional 500. You're going to be able to attack over a lot of different things with just your main deck monsters without relying too much on your extra deck. Now, of course, we also have to play 1 copy of the Ulti Kanahawk. Wish this was more, at least 2, right? So if you get 1 striked or anything, you still have another backup, but it is what it is. Oh well. We're also playing 3 copies of Ulti Apelio, because Ulti Apelio is, it's very powerful and you want to use it. You're basically going to be summoning it for your battle phase, and then you're going to tag out and then probably summon something like your Ulti Petalfins for your main phase 2, and then going into your opponent's turn, just because she can't be destroyed by card effects. And all your Ritual Beast cards, including Ulti Kim and Falcos, can always tag out. So if your opponent has like a targeting effect or anything like that, Effect Veiler, Ghost Ogre, you can always tag out and just dodge it. So the fact that Ulti Petalfin can just survive Raigekis, Dark Holes, Interrupted Kaiju Slumbers and all that, it's pretty good. It's pretty strong. Now I play 3 Apelios and 2 Dolphins because Dolphin, really, she's not gonna die at all. And Apelio is probably the most vulnerable one because in the battle phase, if your opponent tries to activate something when he's not attacking. So when he's attacking, he's unaffected by all of the card effects, which also kind of sucks because, you're not getting the boost from Falcos or Apelio. But Ulti Apelio is the most vulnerable. If you're trying to go into the battle phase, something might happen to him. And I always like to send him first. So people like to send, the Dolphin with Rapengu. I like to send Ulti Apelio to get Apelio out of my deck first, because with Apelio and Wind in circulation, you're going to be very good in terms of setting up on your opponent's turn. So that's why I like to have 3, 1's to send and 2's to use. Here with the Petalfin, sometimes you'll send 1. Most of the time you're going to keep both of these in your extra deck, so you don't really need another. So there's that. And then I'm also playing 2 copies of Ritual Beast Ulti Guy Pelio. Now, Ulti Guy Pelio, I play 2. You only really need 1 to use, but the other one's to send with Rapengu so that you can send, your Tamers from your deck to the graveyard. Now, if Ulti Guy Pelio is like expensive for you because for some reason this card spiked due to buyouts, you can always play 3 copies of Ulti Kim and Falcos and 1 Ulti Guy Pelio. So if you're sending a Tamer with your Rapengu, you can always send the Ulti Kim and Falcos instead of sending the Ulti Guy Pelio. But I just like having the Ulti Guy Pelio since I have him. But yeah. You can always tweak around the ratios just a little bit, but otherwise this is pretty good. It fills in all the niches that Ritual Beasts need to fill. Okay, and then for the XYZs, I'm playing 1 copy of Lightning Chidori. These are basically just texts. You can change these if you want. 1 copy of Baguska, 1 copy of Tornado Dragon, and I play the Utopia package. So, Utopia package is just good for outing big, beefy monsters like Crystal Wing and things like that. Masterpiece, things that, become unaffected by certain things that your extra deck can't play around. Lightning's always there for you. Now, Baguska is very interesting because with Baguska, there are certain combos with the deck where you can actually end with Ulti Kim and Falcos and a Baguska under it. So it's very, very powerful because the fact that Ulti Kim and Falcos can still use this effect to tag out into your other Ritual Beast monsters, but then Baguska makes it so your opponent's monsters basically just can't activate their effects unless they go for links. and you're playing a ton of back row, so you're playing things like Steeds and Torrential and things like that, especially with Steeds coupled with Ultikim and Falcos, because when Ultikim and Falcos tags out, you get 2 more Ritual Beast monsters, so Steeds can nuke 2 monsters to your opponent's side of the field, so you can basically prevent them from even trying to get over your Baguska. So you're just stalling out your opponent, you can pop their Link monsters, you can do whatever. It's just a really nice combo. A combo of monsters to have. Tornado Drag is just back row removal. You can play back row removal in the main deck. If you do, go for Twin Twisters, because back row is just really sucks for this deck, but we play a lot as well, so we can kind of grind things out. And Lightning Jador is just my personal tech preference, so you can potentially bait out some back row or set your opponent back a turn by sending something back to their top of their deck. Anyway, that does it for the extra deck, and that does it for the deck profile. So thank you all so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed it or found it helpful, please leave a like, subscribe for more Ritual Beast content, and leave a comment down below letting me know what I can do to improve. And until next time, take care.